All right, this workout took 20 minutes, so kind of got me thinking about work capacity. Um, so this is a push workout, 2 sets wide pike push-ups, 2 sets push-ups, and 2 sets diamond push-ups. And then I didn't record them, but I did 2 sets of sit-ups in between my diamond push-ups. Um, so work capacity, all right? So when it comes to calisthenics, kind of naturally, you tend to end up building a better work capacity than someone who is lifting weights, especially if you are staying to body weight. If you look at all of like those New York guys or whatever doing calisthenics, they don't need as much rest in between their sets. Even when the next set that they're doing is going to be hitting the same exact muscle group. So like sometimes they'll superset dips with push-ups and they'll be able to go right into it, like right. And it's kind of because when you're working with your body weight, especially, right, it's a weight that you're adapting and that you're getting used to and might lighten over time, especially if you're like, cutting or whatever the case may be. And you tend to not have to huff and puff after each set that much, because you're getting so used to just moving the same weight over and over and over again. And you can still get gains out of it. I'm not saying that training with your body weight is an unoptimal way to train. If it's everything's optimal when you train hard enough and consistent and long enough. But in terms of work capacity, it's a lot easier to build work capacity when you're working with the same frame, relatively over a long period of time. But with weights in general, with weights, you kind of don't build up work capacity, because you might be lifting heavy and you have to rest, a certain amount of time between each set, right? But over time, especially as you're going from a beginner to intermediate to advanced, you'll find that you won't have to rest as much, right? So when I was beginning, I was still doing calisthenics, and I was really only I was only doing a couple of exercises, right? I was basically doing the same amount of exercises I'm doing in this workout, plus like one more set, right? And it would take me like an hour and a half. It would take me so long to do this type of workout. Um, because it's like I just didn't have that work capacity. After a set of push-ups, I'd be like breathing really hard. I'd be huffing and puffing. But now it's like I'm able to do 20 push-ups, 20 really good push-ups, right? And I can almost immediately, like 30 seconds, 45 seconds after, I can jump right into the next set if I wanted to, right? So that is with work capacity. And work capacity works a lot better when you are doing lighter weight. So when you're going from something as like, as low as 8 reps all the way to like, 100 reps if you want it, that's going to be a lot better for your work capacity because of just, the lighter weight and it kind of feeling more like cardio, right? When you're doing cardio, you tend to not have to rest for like 5 minutes or whatever. But when you're doing weights, especially heavy weight, you might have to rest for 5 minutes, depending on the exercise, something like squat, deadlift. But one thing is, right, high reps build work capacity. They build even better work capacity for when you're going heavy. So when I was getting back into doing high rep squats, right? And then I went back to doing like heavy squats, like with a barbell, doing like 2 sets. Not 2 sets, 200 pounds for like 3 sets, stuff like that. I found that I was able to recover way faster than I was when I was only just focusing on, weighted squats, barbell squats. It's like my quads were able to recover, my glutes were able to recover, my hips were able to recover, my ankle joints, stuff like that. I was able to get right back into the movement like no less than a minute. And when at first I used to like put on a timer and everything, and I used to rest for like, I don't know, like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes even, right? Because like, oh, it's a heavy compound lift, so I better make sure I rest like, 18 years before I get into the next set. But it doesn't have to always be like this. You don't always have to have things go like this. When you build up work capacity, you are able to do a lot more in less time. And I'm also not saying that you should be doing more. Like, okay, now it only takes you 30 minutes to do your usual working sets, right? And so that means that you're gonna add more exercises. If you're gonna add more exercises, you should work out less days, right? But if you're gonna keep the amount of work the same, but you just do it in a less amount of time, that means you're able to work out more often throughout the week because you're able to recover at such a better rate. And ways to increase work capacity, like I said, one way is high reps, another way is cardio. So if you are someone who comes from some type of endurance sport background, lifting weights or even like resistance training is going to be so easy for you, because you already just torture and tax your cardiovascular system like crazy, and your endurance like crazy. So getting into weights is usually pretty easy for people who come from like marathon running or swimming. But for someone, just a regular person who's getting into this, like me in the beginning, you're gonna want to do cardio. Cardio does not kill your gains. If anything, cardio is going to allow you to get more gains, because you're going to be working just as harder. And when you're building up work capacity, again, like I said, you're going to have more energy, and you're going to have the opportunity to do more. So don't neglect your cardio. Try to do high reps here and there. Even if you like to do heavy work, try and do more high reps. And then again, try and like experiment with rest times. Maybe try and rest like shorter times every now and then.